one on the Scruttons Road, and I'm understanding that Sarah's going to move it and Mark's going to second it. Is that?
There's an addition that's being moved, but that has to be done with the agreement of the meeting. So to change a notice of motion, it needs the majority of the people around the table to agree to include. We're not able to even delay at this stage without the information. So the proposal is just that staff provide advice on keeping the Heathcote Expressway open in time to inform a council decision ahead of the proposed closure date on the 14th of November. So then we just get the advice and we can make a decision. If people are happy to include that.
So just the advice around that, and the team will give you some advice, but in terms of procedurally, what we would need to do to be able to do that is potentially at the end of today adjourn this council meeting and reconvene next week, because we don't have a formal council meeting till the week
20th.
after. Yeah.
And we could do that, say, on Tuesday, to
Tuesday.
include that in our briefings, Is that,
Okay. Victoria.
I've just got a question in relation to that highlighted number 4, and it's recognising the complexity of the issue, and particularly from the legal aspect as well. Will staff be able to do that in this time frame?
Well, the advice today was you could not make that decision today because you needed advice. We will aim to give advice whether we have sufficient advice by next Tuesday.
That is my question. Are we setting them up to fail?
Well, we'll get as much advice. We did talk to the team at the break, and so we'll seek to get as much advice as we can by the Tuesday.
So in the event that they are not in a position to give us advice and for us to make a decision, what happens then?
You just defer that decision until later.
Yeah. Just to be clear, when I was first looking at change the notice of motion, it was going to be to defer the closure until the Kiwi Rail Board had time to consider our request and had got back to us, which might only be a deferral of a couple of weeks, but I was told that we didn't even have enough advice for that. So that might be one of the options that comes back to us next Tuesday, is just to it might be that we can just defer it for a couple of weeks until Kiwi Rail have considered it, or it might be that we can just say no. Yeah.
Okay, Aaron?
Yeah, just because, all of the council are in agreement that this is ridiculous, along with the community. There's no one that agrees that closing this is a wise idea. And it is so far removed from the purpose of what health and safety is meant to be achieving in New Zealand. Would it not, or should we have not been asking for the appropriate ministers and the CEO of Kiwi Rail to meet the mayor on site to clearly show them how ridiculous this is? And I think a handshake and a walk away would make more sense than all the other stuff, but invite them to the site.
And we could include that in the letter.
If it's all right with the mover. I mean, they turn up and...
We don't need to change it. We'll just
okay, in the letter, thank you very much. No, that'd be great.
Just to throw
and the local council.
Before we start debating the issue, perhaps it would be good to get the staff to just talk about the situation.
Yep.
Situation. Or I can do it. So, kia ora koutou. Staff received a letter on 30th of September from Kiwi Rail about this issue. And if I read you out the couple of sentences that have framed where we've got to, this is, I think it was framed in the email and the memo that was sent to you as well. So this is a direct quote from the letter. Kiwi Rail is requesting that the cycleway be closed by the 15th of November 2024. This date is in line with the original timeframe being confirmed for October 2024, as well as providing sufficient time for Council to plan and implement this activity. If Council are unwilling to take this action, then Kiwi Rail will be put in a position where further options will need to be assessed to ensure safety at the level crossing for users. This could include closure of the level crossing if there is no suitable alternative that achieves the required standard of safety. Extending the timeframe in which the current temporary arrangements are in place is not an acceptable option. So that is the phrasing and terminology that we have referenced in the letter when we've come to the decision and passed on the information to you. We do need to clarify there have been temporary measures put in place to get it open at the time. And yes, we did agree to doing work on the crossing. However, the timeframes around when we received information about how much that was going to cost has resulted in the fact that we do not have the money on budget to upgrade the crossing. So that's the situation we're in as staff. However, as far as the requests that were put to us prior to this meeting, we need more time to gather the advice, put it together, and as Councillor Henstock referenced, all the advice that we have and the best advice that we have at the time, we will provide to you early next week.
Okay, thank you. So, shall we do some debate, perhaps? Okay. Any more questions? Sam, then Yanni.
I'm completely supportive of the adding in the additional bit. I guess what I was wondering was, although it's advice, does that mean we will be in a position next week to go actually, no, KiwiRail, we're not closing that? So I guess what I'm saying is there's a difference between information and advice, and will it give us the ability to make a decision as opposed to just receive advice?
I don't know.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
I don't know. We will do everything we can to give you the best advice to be able to make a decision, but I don't know what. We haven't had a chance to look to that advice at this stage. We're still working through a lot of that.
Yeah. Are you going to update? Have you mentioned?
No, when I do debate stuff, yeah. Yanni, please.
Can I just be really clear? The agreement that we signed with KiwiRail, what does that commit us to in terms of the budget and the safe crossing?
So, Councillor, what agreement are you referencing?
So we have a signed agreement with KiwiRail.
Background.
So it's the agreement to grant public level crossing at Scruttons Road.
Yep.
And it was the 16th of December 2022. So I'm just trying to understand what commitment in that agreement did we make to KiwiRail around what we would spend in terms of cost and what we would do in terms of safety.
I don't know the agreement. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The deed of grant normally has a cost share for maintenance, but this isn't driven by maintenance. So this isn't a priority for them from a maintenance point of view. This is driven by the change in risk from us bringing more cyclists through the cycleway. So the onus of it falls on us to pay for it.
Right. So in the agreement, it talks about resolution of disputes. It talks about a mediator. Have we looked at a mediator?
So through the chair, that I believe, because I can't see the document that Councillor Johansson's looking at, but I believe that document relates to the deeded grant for the level crossing, which is about the use of the road crossing the railway. This is a discussion about the impact that the cycleway has on the change in risk for that level crossing. So they're different issues, and they at this stage, this is why we need to come back with advice. At this stage, I can't conflate those into the same issue. So I can't answer the councillor's question today. That would be part of the advice that would come back.
Yeah. And this, correct me if I'm wrong, Lynette, I know it's daft, but if people ride down Chapman's Road and cross that railway line, it doesn't have to be fixed because it's not a change in use. That's the trigger that's made this debacle kick off,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, just to put a bit of background in here, a month and a half ago, I had Simon Bridges from NZTA down here in the car, showing him a few things. Broome Street was one of them, but I took him down there and I said, we're now driving over $6.5 million lump. And he said, I don't believe it. So he understands it's daft. And Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, Paul Goldsmith, rang me on Sunday and we discussed the problem and if he could do anything to help KiwiRail look at their decision. I followed it up with a letter on this last Tuesday just gone, and the CE rang the CE of KiwiRail last night. I'm not sure what the answer to the result of that was. Also, the MP for the area, Vanessa Winnick, is also putting her voice into the problem as well. And I am more than happy to go up to travel to Wellington to meet anyone that needs to have them, because this is the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. This cycleway, people won't believe what I'm going to say now. This cycleway is things like the unicycle. It's great because it doesn't impact on traffic so much. This here is another perfect example. It's off the main roads and it's a far better thing. It's far safer and it doesn't impact everyone else's use. So the more of those we have, the better it is. But we've got two, we've got unicycle, we've got this one. And I think Lynette, oh yes, of course, yes. Lynette, and it's one of the problems is that we are using a bit of Kiwi Rail's land as well to get to this. Oh, no, we're not? Okay, we're just off it. I thought we were.
This is all on council land.
Okay, no problem. That's my mistake. Yep. Okay, so in my view, we've spent the money and we've got to do whatever we can to make sure it's because we've heard from all the people this morning and it's so common sense, it's unbelievable. So that's my 5 bobs worth. Right, we'll do it. Still got questions. Sorry, Vic.
Can I just clarify? You've had various conversations, but has a letter been written?
Yes, to Paul Goldsmith.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So my question then is really, if a letter's already been written and the conversations have been had and a site visit's already been had, do we need this notice of motion?
So I think the letter and the conversations that we had instigated the CE phone call yesterday that rang us, and also the follow-up to that is the team's meeting with them, with Kiwi Rail again today over the next few days. So work is progressing.
It's got to keep pressure on, my view.
Yeah.
So the question still stands, do we need the notice of motion if the work is already progressing?
It's probably up for members to have their own reflection on.
Point 4 is useful, and also point 3, I don't think we've written to the Kiwi Rail board yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So
checking. Thank
We'll
you.
do all of that. No, that's cool.
And one of the key things about it is that it gets all the technical information. So at the moment, the Kiwi Rail board will have only heard the technical information and the opinions of their staff, and not the other side of it. And it's important to get that holistic view to the board rather than just,
Okay. Yanni?
Sorry, just given that NZTA is the rail regulator, have we also talked to them?
Yes.
And what's their response been?
We generally talk to them about the challenges in working with Kiwi Rail. But that's all. We haven't talked to them specifically about this closure. We're acting on the letter as we've advised you in the memo.
Right, it's just that like in the letter that we got from Kiwi Rail, they've gone and talked to NZTA apparently and told them of our position, and obviously they're not happy with our position.
So Councillor Hansen, let's be clear, this was a notice of motion that came in just within the deadline.
Sure.
Staff have given advice contained to the notice of motion. Yeah. The broader questions, we're not ready to answer this, and which is why that additional 4 has come through. So staff have only prepared to respond to this notice of motion today, not other wider questions.
And I appreciate that. I guess the frustration for some of us where we have repeatedly raised the issue with the way Kiwi Rail has been operating is the frustration that despite many attempts to raise and escalate this level at a governance, it hasn't achieved much. But I guess the key thing is we need as many allies as we can in this space. And so if Waka Kotahi or NZTA are the rail regulator, it would also seem sensible that we did have some sort of strategy of approaching them to talk to them through the concerns that we have so that we can get their support. That was all. So hence the reason. So maybe when we get the advice back,
anyone that's prepared to listen, I'll talk to. Right. So I think we're all pretty well all on the same page. Let's put this motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. That's carried. Brilliant.
I thought Yanni just did.
Hey? Did I miss something? No.
Didn't debate. Never mind. We just put it.
Well, we should debate it. Do you want to debate? We're all going to get to where we want it to.
No, you've got to be quick. Interject when he said we're ready to put the motion. Say no, we're not.
Right, aren't we lucky?
Say yes, we are.
Righto. Now, Te Kaha